There are times where we get calls where people are going through a divorce, and ultimately, as part of the proceedings for the divorce, they need to split up the assets, and the house tends to be one of the major assets where if it's irreconcilable differences between the spouses, then ultimately the judge is going to ask them to sell the house and then split the proceeds. You can sell that. You can sell the asset, the house, during divorce proceedings, but typically that judgment has to be set first. What you can do is we get calls at both times where people are going through the divorce and they just want to explore the option so they know the valuations of which they're working with, or we've actually seen post-divorce scenarios where the couples have gone through a divorce and then now it's actually time to sell the property. After a divorce has been settled and decided, it's much easier to sell that house in a quicker timeline simply because you don't have to go through the judge at that point because the judge settlement has already been set. And it doesn't matter whether you're in Kansas or Missouri. The process is basically the same. If you're going through a divorce and you want to consider selling that house to a cash buyer, you can do that. A lot of times they're going to ask that it's going to either need to be appraised, potentially, not always, but sometimes needs to be appraised, or it needs to be confirmed through the judge, and they want to be able to see that that house is a percentage close to what it would sell retail on the retail market as that cash offer. And if it fits within that range, then typically the couples going through divorce have the opportunity to sell the house. If it's after that judgment has been set, then ultimately the couples that are going through a divorce have the option to make a decision on the house on their own, sell it, and then we work with professional closing companies on the KC Property Guys side. So ultimately, as we go through the closing at whatever timeline it is, but the day of closing, we can actually wire the equity in two different directions to two different bank accounts. And that's a question that we get a lot because they obviously those monies are being settled and split two ways. So it can easily be handled. It can be handled before or after a divorce. It just depends on the scenario, but it just starts with a phone call. We'll show up, we'll go through the house, whether anybody, either both couples or both pairs of the couple are on site, or one or the other, but we can write up a formal offer and allow them to make the decision from there. Mainly what we see if you're considering a realtor versus a cash option is the timing and the flexibility. So with the beauty of the cash offer is we can set it to any timing, whether it's fast or slow or months or waiting for proceedings to actually take place. We've had couples or where one spouse actually lives in the house after the closing itself for a period of time. So the beauty of the cash offer is we can take all the variables, even including the stuff that might be inside the home, and we can work that into the agreement. Whether you leave the stuff, whether you're waiting for an estate sale or an auction, you have the flexibility to do that. We can take care of the stuff if you don't want it. We can wait for the estate sale if you want to have the estate sale. So there's lots of options there that come with the cash offer, where with a realtor, now you have a specific timeline. There is a drop dead date. The house needs to be empty. There's a lot of more stringent rules that must be followed. And ultimately it's the timeline, because it's the indefinite timeline, because you don't necessarily have the house sold. You have to wait for it to be sold, to be actually sold and have those proceeds split. With the cash offer, you've sold that house.